So they say that every 10-minute job is just one snap bolt away from being a 2 to 3 day job. Well, yeah. Back 2 to 3 days, and we have this. Welcome back. Kind of mixed it up a bit today. I think we're going to do a little bit on the Calibra. Get that ready for the road. Let's get busy. So I've had a couple of requests lately asking what's happening with Calibra, because generally just nothing's happening with it. It's all been on the Nova rebuild. If you haven't been following the progress of the Nova, why not? It's alright, we're busy. We're just busy reinstating it, shall we say. Getting rid of a little bit of the rust, a little bit of the years worth of abuse and stuff, and trying to put that back on the road. Anyway, back to where we were. So, big plan is I want to try and get this back on the road this month. Well, not this month, because this month's March, so April. Basically, we're right at the end of this month. And try and get this back on the road for April, because I've been over a year since I've drove it. I would like to sort of use it again, you know. Sun's shining, what more would you want? Now, if you remember back, for the OG watchers who remember, the very first video that I put out was on this, on the front pipes that were leaking and blowing. Sounded horrible. As I always had a little bit of a chuff on the exhaust when I was driving. I used to drive as insane. Well, in that video, I reseated them. Didn't get any better. I had a major nightmare, if you remember. If you haven't watched it already, go back and watch it. It's one of them, what the hell's this guy thinking about? So yeah, so I had a major fuel leak. Anyway, long story short, I had a major fuel leak. Couldn't get the thing running. Eventually, when I got it running, the exhaust was actually worse than what I originally started with. So, typical day in the area. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to pull the front pipe off. I've got the original front pipe here that came with the engine that, if I remember rightly, was absolutely sound. Flexi was a bit battered, and the underneath of it was a bit battered, where somebody had clearly, the car that this engine came out of, I assume they must have jumped it and they've bottomed it out and crushed all the pipe of it. That's why I changed it in the first place. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the pipe off this, compare the two, see exactly why this one's not sealing. I suspect that the two flanges, one, when they've welded it, one's been slightly, if you imagine when the two flanges on, when they've welded, I suspect one of them's cocked slightly. So what I might end up doing is actually cutting it between, recocking them, tack it up and re-weld it on. So the car is good to use, but other than that, the only other thing I've got to do is I've got a little issue still with the door locks. Since the last time that I had the door lock off the last video I did the speakers, last video on this when I did the speakers, I had a little bit of muck about with the central lock, and well, it seems as though I've made things worse. Now the driver's door just doesn't lock or unlock or anything like that, so I need to sort that out as well. But we'll see where we're getting to with this video. So I'll get cracking. I'll rip the front pipe off, and we'll see where we'll go from there. There's the two pipes there laid side by side. This one obviously is the original. This one here is my eBay special. Now the reason I changed it was because it's been dinged up a little bit there, but most importantly, the Flexi's just seen better days, you know. So, back to where we are. I've had a quick look at the flanges. I can't see any difference in the angles of the flanges, even though they clearly are, because you can see where they're blowing on the sealing rings. They're just not quite sealing properly. So I'm assuming these flanges have been welded on just at the wrong angles. There's a couple of things I have noticed different. So, first of all, the thickness of the pipe is a hell of a difference in the thickness of the two pipes. See if I can get a good shot there. You can see a canny difference in the thickness of the two pipes. The other thing I've noticed as well, this pipe is a lot more prouder than that pipe. It's quite a step on there. So obviously these insert deeper in. Now in an ideal world I would like to use the old front pipe, I'm thinking, on account of that. So I'm stuck with one of two options. Either carry on with the old front pipe, cut it here, bolt these up so that they're sealed, in and sealed, and then put a couple of tacks on, take it back off again, weld that up, or swap the lambda sensors over, because I'm pretty sure this lambda sensor was faulty. I'm sure it was throwing up codes. Swap the lambda sensors over and cut the flexi off here and swap the flexis over. Now I'm not sure which way to go. I think at the minute what I'm going to do is bite the bullet and just cut the front pipe here first and use the old front pipe, bolt them up to the flanges, get them so that they're sealing right, and then just tack them up and go from there. I think if that fails, I've always still got this flexi to fall back on. I haven't damaged this pipe in any way, you know. Yeah, it's just a better pipe altogether. Like, the eBay stuff's good, but it's not that good. I mean, look at the thickness of the flanges. You know, even the thickness of the flanges, you can see. So yeah, so I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to cut this here, straight through there, bolt them back on, get them so that I'm happy with how they're sitting flat, because once, as I said, this flange here normally doesn't want to sit right, which to me suggests something's not right. Something's pulling in the wrong direction, basically. So I'm going to bolt them up, tack them up, and see where we go from there.
Day 3.
Back to present day. What you didn't see in the video, when I took the downpipe off, I actually snapped the rear stud. Now, 2 to 3 hours it's took us to get this off. More annoyed because had I had the tools that I have at work, air tools and battery tools and stuff, would have been about a 20-minute job. Really frustrated about that, but nonetheless it's off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this into work with us tomorrow. I'll remove that stud. What I decided to do, I've decided to, while I've been on, because obviously you've heard us talk about it before, I'm eventually planning to shave the bay, declutter it. Part of there's a secondary air injection system on it. No idea what it does. Quite honest with you, it threw up an error code when I first put the V6 in. However, I've changed ECUs now, so I've deleted that, getting rid of it. So what I'm doing is that, along with what I understand to be the EGR valve, is coming out, getting removed. Delete the whole thing, don't need it, getting rid of it. So while I'm on taking that stud out, I'm also gonna, these two holes here, I need to blank off because we're doing away with all the pipe work that went around there. I've also got the front manifold that I've got to take off and do exactly the same to that once I work out how I'm going to do this. Unfortunately, this is actually stainless steel manifold, so welding it up could be a little bit tricky. I might just have to jam something in there, so to speak. I've got a couple of plans I'm floating around. Delete that. I'll let you know how I get rid of that. But that'll actually get rid of quite a bit of clutter down here and actually free us up quite a bit of space. So yeah, so it went a bit wrong. Got the exhaust manifold off. Hopefully we're back on the right track now. Take us to work, get the stud out tomorrow, bash, back on with the job. Once I put the exhaust back on, obviously we'll go from there. Once I get this back on, then we'll go back to the exhaust and get back on with that. Right, so if you've been following us on Instagram, you would see that I managed to get the bolt, the snap bolt. Got to had a little bit of heat in there. Yeah, quite a bit of heat in there. Managed to get the snap bolt out of there anyway. What I did was I cut another stud, the right size, and I've just literally put it in and I set it in while it was still hot. So as it's cooled, the metal's contracted. And just gripped the bolt. I mean, that stud there's now going nowhere. So that's, I'm happy that's got a good fix on there now. So what I've been doing is figured while I had this off, I might as well get rid of all this gubbins, this. So all I've done with them is literally just cut the flange off the pipe and then just put a nut and bolt through. Nut and bolt and a little washer. I've packed the inside up with fire putty. What I've got left of the tube, which is kind of dying now. Packed the inside up with fire putty, and just for add a bit of belt and braces on the inside where the nut is, I've put a tiny little dot of weld just on the off chance that the nut does freak out and fall out of vibration or anything like that and drop into the manifold that causes a rattle, you know. So what I'll do is I'll just carry on, get the other one done, and I think we'll go on, take the other manifold off, do the same with the other manifold off, and take off all of this gubbins that's basically not needed, before we start putting it all back together again, start and build up. And there we have it. That's all the bit I'm going to take out for now. That is the secondary air injection system, whatever the hell that does. No idea. It's never worked since I've put it in. So we'll get rid of it. Keep big pump there. I presume that's some sort of air pump. Looks like an air filter. It pumps down to a little resonator, and then for some bizarre reason pumps back in through this valve, vacuum controlled, into the exhaust manifold. As I say, I don't know what it does. It's never worked, so I've just chopped it all out. What I'll do is I've done, where is it? Blocked up the two ports on the rear bank manifold. I'll crack on, get the front ones done, get their manifolds on, and then we'll be back on track to get the exhaust done. We'll be able to get that hopefully fitted up, welded up and sealed up. So hopefully that should be that. Remove the bumper from the car to get the air pump and stuff out. Just lives down here in this corner, which is actually works well because it's created a nice little cavity for us now to maybe hide something else in the bay. From the bay even. So yeah, making progress. And there we'll have it. eBay pipes, you gotta love them. So that's both flanges now bolted up exactly where they should be. You can't really see that one. And that's the gap I've got. I've literally put probably with a 1 or 2 mil cutting disc through the middle of that. But this is why it hasn't been sealed. Obviously the two V's, to get them in to fit the flanges, I've had to split them apart, which is why they're not sitting right on the back. So I've got two options there. I either A, try and sleeve that, which is possible if I've got some pipe big enough, or B, I go back to the original front pipe. I would still prefer to use this one on account of the fact that the flanges are, the flexes are in a lot better condition than the other one, rather than trying to repair the other one, you know. So I'll see if I've got a sleeve that'll fit over there, and if I have, then we can slip it on and weld it on. Right, I've decided I'm just going to sleeve it. So found an old bit of exhaust, I've cut it off, just welded a length on that's actually slipped over the top of that. So all I'll do now is, while it's set up in place where it wants to be and it's comfortable, I'll just run a tack, maybe just a tack on the bottom, take it off, and then just fully weld it up, and then it should be ready to fit back on. All going to plan, it should be good and sealed. By no means an exhaust builder, but reasonably happy with that little modification. That should be nice and airtight. We'll get it fitted up and see how it goes, but other than that, that's the front pipe modified to fit. A million times better. That's it, done, exhaust back on. I've got a little bit of a weep from the front gasket, but the manifold gasket was a bit old. Where's the bit? There. Front pipe gasket was a bit old, and it kind of separated on us. There's, you know, What a couple of girls, I've got a gasket in there, but I'm doing it to replace the gasket in the back. But the exhaust, as you heard, is absolutely sweet as a nut now. I'm absolutely over the moon with that. First time in 5 years, I think, since the car's been done, since the conversion's been done, nearly 5 years. First time that front pipe hasn't actually blown, so I'm well chuffed with that. Such a stupid simple thing. It's been an absolute nightmare to fix. So, what I'll do is I'm gonna end the video there today. We'll just call that a day on that, repairing the exhaust. I've still got the next 2 videos or so. I want to get a full service on it, and I've got a couple of that little fiddly bits and bobs that I want to get sorted on it before we put it back on the road. But either way, the next 2 or 3 weeks, this thing's gonna be back on the roads again. So I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with that. So yeah, once again, I'd like to thank all the new subscribers. Without you guys, not really a lot of point in me doing this, you know, and to be fair, a lot of the time you'll find I'll end up sitting home, relaxing, doing note. But like I say, you guys keep us motivated, so thanks for that. Thank you very much for that. If you like what you've seen, don't forget to leave a comment down below and let us know what you thought. Whether it's good or bad, constructive criticism is always a good thing to, you know, to take on board. Yeah, made it this far. Thanks for watching. What did you think about the 2-week process, the 2 weekly videos? Is it got to be too far between, or, you know, what's your thoughts? Like I say, leave a comment down below or hit us up on either of the social medias. Websters Workshop on Facebook, you'll find us on there, or Websters Workshop on Instagram, you'll find us on there. Either both of them find us on there. Either DM us or drop us a message, let us know what you think. And thanks again for watching. We shall see you guys the next time.